And hello, welcome to Career View Mirror. My name is Joyel Crawford. I'm your host, and today I have a very fellow esteemed guest. She's a fellow Forbes Coaches Council member, Dr. Parker Walsh, and she is the CEO and founder of Parker Walsh Consulting, LLC. And again, we've known each other for several years, but we were just meeting in person.
I know, it's fabulous.
And I'm so happy to have you on the show because you're from
you.
Washington State.
I know, all the way from across the country.
She came from across the country to see us. So I'm really excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being
awesome.
on.
Yeah.
So what exactly do you do? How would you describe your career, Carol?
Well, I would say, it's such a great question. I help high-achieving, successful women who have climbed the ladder of success only to realize they've climbed the wrong one, discover what their life's work is, and to courageously step into that and to own it and to do what they love. Yeah.
So it's like we're on the same wavelength.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I feel like I've known you for so long, and I love that path to success and that you're making sure that you're paving that path and empowering them.
Absolutely. It's so important to do meaningful work. I often talk about that my idea of a career is not really just a job, right? Or a gig, right?
Right.
It's really your application of all your gifts, skills, and talents to whatever makes sense for you in the current moment of your lifespan, right? You know, and so it's like having your little bag of marbles that you want to go and play with, and then when you decide I don't want to play here anymore, you can pack them up and find another place to play
and take them somewhere else instead of hiding them. And you know, because what we do is we think, okay, well, I've only got this bag of marbles for this role, and I'm just going to put them over here on a shelf because I can't do anything else.
That's exactly right. Yeah, and that's one of the biggest challenges and problems that I come across with my clients, and I'm sure you know here as well, is that people have they get in this career loop that I call it, where they have these blinders on and think this is all I can do, and they just kind of circle around in that without realizing that, oh my dear sister, there's so much
there's so much out there.
Yeah, so much out there that you could do.
I'm always talking about transferable skills and the needs of that. Now, I know that you have a JD and a PhD. That's a lot of cred.
That's a lot of cred.
So is that what you need to do? I mean, a lot of times people want to get into coaching and leadership development. Are those the credentials that you need to do in order to have this type of career?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say no, you don't need those credentials. But I will say it has given me, I think, an upper hand in order to really work with the type of clients that I work with and do the kind of work that I do. Just the training that you get generally from going through any kind of educational program, I think is really helpful for you. So the fact that I went through this, the critical thinking skills that I got from my law work, or for the education that I went through, and then particularly for me in the doctoral program, I focused around on identity development and human development and structural inequity. So I looked at how we figure out who we are from the human development lifespan perspective, but also from a gender perspective, as well as from a social structural inequity perspective.
Wow.
So just really looking at how all of these levels of systems really impact our ability to not only step into who we are, but to really own that. And I think through the course of my life and career, what brought me to this particular work was realizing how much that has an impact on your ability to really own your career, to step into something and do something more meaningful.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes.
But, you do not need these credentials to do that.
That's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time and a lot of money.
A lot of tests.
Yes, exactly. And you know, it served me well. I was an attorney for 10 years. So I mean, I did practice law, and I did a lot of management organizational consulting and got a master's in that, which you know, along the way. And then I had 12 years in academia, so I was a professor and a dean and a director of academic programs. So it's allowed me to not only have the experience in those worlds, which is when I work with clients in those particular backgrounds, there's a lot of relational understanding of what they do. But from my perspective, I honestly think that the best skill that you can have to do this work is experience.
Aha.
That's what I believe. I believe if you've kind of been there, done that,
yes,
then, and you've figured out your way to kind of get through it or to rise above it or to really create something powerful and meaningful for yourself, that's really the best credential you need.
And that really is something that some people don't really think about, is that they're like, oh, well, I had somebody email me the other day and they're like, I'd like to be a coach. How do I do it? And I'm just like, well, I mean, it's research, but you really also need the experience. Like, if you've had life experience, like, I don't know if I would necessarily take life advice from somebody who's lived less time than I have.
Right.
And I know that sounds ageist, but I just think that, you want to have somebody who's lived a little bit more in even the space or in the situations where you can kind of take that advice. And so that's the credit that you need. But your credentials have definitely helped flavor the experience that you have. And it's probably gotten you the level of clients that you need to serve. Right?
Yes, right. Because I'm used to walking in their shoes or walking at the level that they walked in before. And I particularly, being a woman at midlife, I work with women at midlife because I understand that experience as well. Like you said, you have that kind of cred because you have lived that life and have that experience. So, I think that is so important. I, probably get in trouble for saying this, but like coaching programs per se, to me, are not the answer. I think it's a good thing to go through to understand some methodology and to kind of get a sense of how you want to do your practice. But, you add that to your life experience and you should be able to develop something that really makes the best sense for you and your clients.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes when people don't feel strong enough in their own experience and knowledge base, they rely too heavily on something.
On the certification.
And then they lose this idea that, it's really a culmination of all of that to develop like a method that really vibes with you, that vibes with your clients, that you can really develop. I almost
think of it like a soup or a stew, right? So like as you're making the soup, you have the stock, that's your base, you've got all of this experience, and then you add the credentials, you add the, because those are seasonings that flavor it up.
Love that analogy.
I've got the chills just I need to write that down.
I know.
But it's like a stew, and then
But it's so true.
But as you're living your life and coming up with these different experiences or credentials, you add that to the stew, and it makes your flavor different than someone else's flavor, right?
Absolutely, because how many billions of people are in this world? I always tell people that you attract your tribe, right? So there's plenty to go around. There's some people who will hear my messaging and the way I put my little soup together and find it flavorful and find the aroma to be perfect.
Right.
And others will find it distasteful.
Right.
And putrid, right? And so everybody would, and that's to me the most important thing about putting all those together and creating your soup. I love that analogy and bringing all that together, because that way you'll find your people and you'll be able to successfully support your people.
Absolutely. And there's so many people out there that need help. I mean, if you have a job, or even if you're looking for a job, there are people out there to help.
Yes.
And there's plenty of, we need to work in order to live. Yes. So there's that. So we've always got clients to serve. And
Absolutely.
I remember being at a conference and someone said, I don't believe in competition, it's cooperation or something like that. I can't remember the funny word that he used, but it was more like collaboration and collaborative, because there's no competition there. There's plenty of people out there. So with all of the experience that you had, and you were in law, you were in academia for many years. How did you make the shift to serving clients one-on-one? How did you shift to coaching?
Yeah, that's a great question. It started with, part of my research and the work that I was doing in academia was to look at these questions of, how we figure out who we are and how do we connect that in organizational settings. And I was writing and researching and even presenting on some of that from my dissertation and the research I was doing beyond. But what I wanted to do was to connect with people one-on-one. I didn't want to research and read about it or talk about it or write about it. I still write my blog and articles, but I really wanted to connect one-on-one and actually apply and support people at that level. And so in the ivory tower, as they call it, you're so far removed it's interesting how you study and research the dynamics, interactions with individuals, but you really don't work with them.
Right.
Like once you're done with the research or whatever, you move on and you do something else. But I really just wanted to help and support women. And I think one of my greatest kind of gifts or skills is to really support, encourage, inspire, and to really connect and relate to women. And I think and I would get people who would even read some of my work who would email me and say, oh, that touched me, that moved me, and would ask me, do you ever work with people? And I thought, no. But around the time on the precipice of I was turning 50, somewhere in that late 40s stage, I looked around and I asked myself, like, is this really where I want the rest of my career to go? Or what do I really see myself doing? What's the best way to apply my gifts and my abilities? What's really my purpose and my calling?
Right.
And I decided that that's what it was.
So you coached yourself.
I coached myself and looked at my little toolbox and toolkits of things that I could do, and that's where I decided to go into. I initially, when I first started doing consulting, like years ago, I had done a lot of organizational development and management consulting. So I used to work with corporations and do corporate change
management,
change management, coaching, and training, and that type of thing. And as much as I believe I have a talent in that, I still miss the individual. Even then, I was like, I really just these individual people that I'm connecting with, I would love to support them. But it didn't click at the time. And then when I started my practice, I'm also a certified image consultant, which is another thing I bring to the table.
Fantastic. Another piece, another spice
that I add in. And so what I was really focused on was helping women in terms of their professional presence and how they showed up and how they communicated, but also in terms of how they looked, because there clearly is psychological literature about, how you feel about yourself shows up, and how you show up personally. And so I started doing that work, but man, I just wanted to go deeper. And I was having women who were just struggling with even having clarity on what they wanted to do and who they were and what their next steps and directions were.
Right.
And when I realized that is what people were also wanting from me, I thought I needed to expand this more. So while I still do this personal branding and professional presence piece, stepping back to really help these women, and I primarily work with midlife women, is to help them gain clarity about self and gain vision, and then to step into what they want to do.
This is so like what I do. So this is exactly what I want to do too, because I'm moving into the leadership space. And and so this is right in the wheelhouse. So this is good stuff for us. What I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and learn a little bit more about Dr. Carol Parker Walsh from the deep down inside perspective. We'll see you in a minute.
And complicated process. Help is just a phone call away. 856-226-4800. As a licensed insurance agent, I'll assist you in making an informed and confident decision on a Medicare plan that meets your needs, lifestyle, and budget. Call me today for a free, no-obligation Medicare benefits consultation. 856-226-4800.
Boardwalks built for fun. Legendary rock and roll clubs.
This is how we do it.
Casinos by the ocean. Now that's New Jersey. 130 miles of beautiful beaches. Solid rock. And everything in between.
Look in the window.
Now that's New Jersey.
Burlington County College.
Is now Rowan College of Burlington County.
Still the same great faculty.
At a community college ranked top 50 in the nation.
Basically, we earn more and pay less.
RCBC students are accepted at Rowan University after graduation.
And get a bachelor's degree for around $30,000.
Online and Mount Laurel students get a 15% Rowan University tuition discount.
And have many scholarship opportunities.
So you earn more and pay even less.
Rowan College of Burlington County.
Your path to success.
They are the greatest fighting force the world has ever seen. But what does it take to strengthen our service members? What does it take to let them know that we stand behind them? wherever they are. What does it take to bridge the distance and keep them connected to family, home, and country? And what does it take to prepare them for their future when their service to the nation is complete? What does it take to strengthen our service members so they can be the greatest force for good in the world? It takes a force. Be a force behind the forces. Share a message today at force.uso.org.
Hi, and welcome back to Career View Mirror. I have my wonderful, I was like, someone, my wonderful coach. She's going to be my coach. She is a leadership coach, and she is my guest today, Dr. Carol Parker Walsh. Thank you so much for being here. We were just talking before break about how you had this realization that you missed working one-on-one with people, and that you wanted to, again, add that flavor to your mix, to your soup and your stew to make it even more enriching. So I wanted to know a little bit more about you. I mean, I know that you're a TEDx speaker, which is another dream role. You're like living my best life right now. So
that was amazing.
How can you share a little bit about what the TEDx talk was about and how that flavored what you do now?
Yeah, it's interesting. I was watching a segment earlier about an author who wrote a book called Tolikability Trap that I thought was interesting. And the reason I resonated with it, you know how sometimes you read these authors' books and you think, I could have written that?
Yes.
That's totally how I felt, because she was talking about principles that related to what I talked about in my TEDx talk, which is this idea of fit versus belonging. That's what it was about. And how so often we try to fit in places that cause us to strip away pieces of who we are, as opposed to showing up fully present and authentic and belonging.
Yes.
And so I saw I think it was an ad in, I think it may have been Diversity magazine. This was years ago, probably 20 years ago, that asked the question, what did you leave home when you came to work today? And it listed things like your yarmulke, your accent, your religious belief, you know what I mean? Which I thought that was so powerful. That is stuck in my mind even to this day. And that's what I opened up my talk with. And so I as I work with people around their careers, as I even thought about my own career, like how much do we strip away to like fit into something, which is why we end up miserable or wondering, how do I get here? Or, you know, this is the career for me. And then what we do is we turn it against ourselves, thinking something's wrong with us, as opposed to just really instead recapturing all those fabulous things that makes us unique and beautiful and fabulous and different and exciting, and saying, no, this is all of who I am. Let me find something that's more aligned to that, as opposed to stripping away those amazing pieces of myself and then stepping into something that doesn't fit.
And I always say that when I was towards the end of my past success story, at the end of my success story in corporate, that I was like a round peg trying to fit in a square hole, and that I just couldn't fit in where our visions and our values started to misalign, and I started to feel less than myself. And then it's almost like a relationship, like where you start to compromise who you are so that you can succeed, and then you look back and you're just a shadow of yourself.
Absolutely. And most of the time, we, particularly women, internalize that as something's wrong with me. Like, why couldn't I make this work? Like, in a relationship. Like,
why did he call back?
How did I go wrong? Or what can I do to fix this? As opposed to realizing, no, it's just not a good fit. That you really aren't in a place where you can be your best, be your best self in that moment.
Absolutely.
And it's funny you say a relationship, because when I walked away from my last job, I remember calling my boss saying, let's just call it a breakup.
Exactly.
Because that's really what it was.
It really is.
It's not you, it's me.
It's exactly. We're just not into each other anymore.
Absolutely, because there's nothing wrong with the organization. It's just not my organization, right? There's nothing wrong with how you decide to operate and run your mission or your values. They're just not aligned with mine.
Absolutely.
And so instead of seeing it as that and leaving away on a mature note, that is the difference of us internalizing and then leaving thinking, oh, what did I do? What was wrong with me?
And there is always that what did I do? And there could be some duality there. There's some compromise there too. There's ownership on both sides.
Absolutely.
And I think we forget about that. And just like a relationship, sometimes you just need to move on and take another season. It's another
100%.
season.
100%. And
that's it.
What I have found is the more that you know yourself and the more you know what it is you really want, the easier it is to be able to see what works for you and what doesn't. So that you don't get lost or trapped into this idea that I need to try to fit.
Yes.
Something that's not right
yes. Yeah. Absolutely. I'm like, amen.
Yes.
It's the Church of Dr. Carol. Yes, I completely agree with you there. So I want to know, what is your why? So how did you get to understand yourself better? What's your why? What gets you up in the morning?
Yeah, my clients get me up in the morning. I have to say, I think I really deeply, strongly, in the depths of my soul, believe that I was put here to impact and support other people in their walk in life, right? And so I get so much joy when I can sit on a call or be in a meeting or even be on stage and just share with women to be able to give them greater permission, if you will, to step into what they're meant to do and who they're meant to be. And so that's what I it didn't, I started being a lawyer because I wanted, and I was an employment attorney. So I've always been in this and realm. I wanted to help people to better enjoy what they do, right? At least that was the thought when I became an attorney, and I realized that really wasn't the path that I should go on. And so what I realized throughout my career, I've been looking for ways in order to help people feel more empowered and to help organizations create an atmosphere that would allow them to feel confident enough to allow their people to feel empowered, right? So for me, my why is just, we spend so much time working, right? It's the majority of the time that we spend in our lives. So why not make it something that's aligned with who you are? And I don't believe in work-life balance, because to me that's like living two separate lives.
There's no such thing as balance.
There's no such thing.
No.
So for me, it's what I call work-life alignment, where who you are and what you do are so beautifully linked and integrated that it just it allows you to live this meaningful, beautiful, fulfilled life.
See, and I call it flow. I call it flow. And your why is like my why. I want to motivate and inspire women to step into their purpose and their power, like empower themselves to step into that power that they have.
Because I realized that I wasn't doing that, and when I kind of took a look back to see there were ways that I did it, but I think I did it within the construct of some other idea of what it should be. Right. And so it wasn't until I said, no, this is who I am. This is what I want to be. This is how I want to show up.
Absolutely.
That I felt like, okay, well then I'm going to help everybody do that.
Like you were the Moses for people's lives, just helping pave that path. So that's fantastic. That is so fantastic. Got the chills again. So what does a typical day look like in your career as you're finding your alignment, as you're finding your flow? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of reflexivity. Is the word that I use, which to me is deeper than just reflection. Reflexivity is it's a theoretical principle that comes up with a lot of researchers in academia. When they're doing research, you're supposed to be more reflexive in the work that you do, meaning that not only are you thinking about what you're doing, but you're thinking about the impact on you in terms of the work that you're doing. So as you do something, you're always in the mode of learning and growing in that process. So for me, that's such a key component of the work that I do, because as if I'm continually to grow, that allows me to impact my clients in a much better way. So I never feel like I've arrived. And so because of that, I'm constantly looking for ways to grow, to learn, to build, in terms of what I do. So for me, the first thing in the morning, I love to just check in and see what's going on. What are the new, like when I saw this thing about the Tolikability Trap, right? So just little other people's perspectives, reading other snippets of articles, hearing other conversations in chat rooms or groups, just to see what conversations are going on that are related to my field, or even peripheral to the field that may be of support or help to other people. So I always start my day with that before I jump into anything, because who knows what else is out there that can impact me and impact the work that I do with my clients. And then for the most part, most of my day is spent either on the phone or in person, working coaching with my clients.
That's great.
Or writing, or I'm trying to do more Facebook Lives.
Oh, well, good for you. I haven't done one yet. Oh my goodness.
It's challenging for me because I vibe so much when I'm actually
Right.
in conversation
Right.
with someone.
Right.
And I forget about, the little
The
camera
little
you're supposed to
screen and the
look
little
at.
people popping,
Exactly.
little icons popping up.
Totally,
And
totally.
I'd be so distracted by the hearts and the smiles that I'd forget what I was saying.
Right, exactly. So that's something, that's a new school principle.
So that's
that
a new
I'm
thing
still
you're coming
trying
into.
to
Got
exactly
it.
work on. But yeah, that's generally what I do. But the first day I love to spend in this kind of, mediative, reflexive mode to just really get prepared to be the best self for my clients.
And it's called reflexology?
Reflexivity.
Reflexivity.
Yeah.
Reflexivity,
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. So it's kind of like nourishing your mind so that you can help yourself and others.
Absolutely, absolutely.
right.
So you're growing from the work that you're doing with other people as well.
I
You know
like
what
that.
Yeah.
And I do see that sometimes in our, because it's noisy in the coaching world.
Yes.
And so that you do find that some folks, and I'm not naming names, but there are some folks that feel like they have arrived,
Right.
and that they're kind of like a Sermon on the Mount kind of thing.
Right.
But I think that there's a likability effect when people are sharing their authenticity and
Yes.
showing that they're having that reflexivity,
Right,
that they're
right.
really just, you know what, I'm walking the talk, I'm struggling with this as well, and these are some of the tips that I've learned, and I'm going to share them with you. I feel like that resonates with me better than somebody who's just like, hi, I'm in my Malibu house, my $1 million view, and
I absolutely agree with that. What I love about
which is
that
not
too,
bad.
It's not bad. But what I love about it too is that it helps me to know because part of being, I think, a thought leader, in this is disagreeing with the status quo. And I think there's some people, and I won't name names either, that I think, no, that's 20th century kind of techniques in a 21st century world, right? That may have worked then, but that doesn't work now. Or maybe I like the idea, but you need to take it a step further.
Take it a little further instead of surface.
So, So I love to be able to explore other people's ideas or see what the conversations are in the community, just to keep me fresh about my own perspectives and what I'm doing and how I'm applying the work that I'm doing with my clients.
Well, that's fantastic. So are there any tips or lessons learned that you could share with your younger self?
Oh, that's a great one. What I would say is to listen to your intuition. I can recall times that clearly I heard, don't do that, or you don't have to do that, or go the other direction.
Yes.
But I silenced my voice to listen to what other people thought or what other people said or what the status quo should be, and followed that route. And I would say listen to that inner voice, because it's always there, it's always calling out. When I was in a massive car accident, and I heard a voice that said, turn now. And so I use that in my work. It's like this turning, and we hear this voice in our heads, but we ignore them for a variety of reasons, right? Or if we turn, we don't know what the options are, or we don't like the options, because we think they should be perfect, and they never are.
We can't.
They never
never
are, right? But what I knew was like, if I stayed the course, I wouldn't be here with you today in that accident. But I also know in life, if I stay the course, I wouldn't elevate to the places that I need to go as well. So I think we always have this voice inside of us that's been guiding us, but we don't give ourselves permission to listen to it or to trust it or to believe it's as valuable as somebody else's opinion. And I think that's what I would...
Trust yourself.
Yeah, trust yourself.
Listen to that gut.
That's what
Go
I
with your gut.
myself. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, well, you have been an absolute pleasure to have on the show. Thank you so much. Where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on my website at carolparkerwalsh.com, and I show up pretty prominently on LinkedIn and Facebook. So I'm Dr. Carol Parker Walsh on Facebook, and you can find Parker Walsh on LinkedIn.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Can't wait to continue this wonderful relationship.
Thank you.
Because you're me. I would like to aspire to you. So we'll definitely be in touch.
I love it.
Thank you again for watching Career View Mirror. You can catch us Mondays at 1:30 p.m. See you again soon.